Um, Good afternoon. This is the Then or Now video reflection prompt for prompt submission for view writing as a social practice. Um, the guidelines, as you know, you wrote them. Then you, as a middle school and or high school student, in your own secondary education grades 6 through 12, writing experience, how social was it? In short, what opportunities were you offered to collaborate with peers throughout the writing process? As a former high school ELL teacher, I didn't do great in providing these opportunities throughout the writing process. I usually include a peer review session before students turn in their final drafts. Was your high school experience similar? What opportunities were you afforded to share your writing publicly to whole class, to your school, and or to your community? Writing is often considered a personal endeavor, and so we are often hesitant to share our writing with others. Did you have these apprehensions as a secondary student? When I think back on my own experience as a middle and high school student, writing really wasn't social at all. Most of the time, it was something I did alone, turned in, and hoped for a good grade. It lasted for like weeks on end. They gave us like 3 weeks to write a paper that really should have took a couple of hours. The only collaboration we ever did was the one peer review day that you talked about before the final draft, and it never felt like a real chance to develop ideas because we were kids. What do you know about writing a paper other than what they told us? I know when I looked at other people's paper, I read it and was like, sounds good to me. Not that helped anyone, literally. It was more like checking a box. We didn't talk through or share early drafts, or learn from each other in any meaningful ways besides doing what we were told to do. Writing didn't feel connected to any kind of community at all. We also hardly ever shared our writing publicly. Every once in a while, someone might read something aloud, but it wasn't consistent, and we definitely weren't sharing with the school or the larger community. Like my school, we tried to do the whole school newspaper thing, and if it didn't follow sports and sports only, it followed prom, homecoming, stuff like that. So the writing that people submitted didn't even get seen. So we definitely weren't sharing it. Because of that, I was very hesitant to let anyone see my work. I felt it felt really personal. It felt like it invaded privacy. And since we didn't practice sharing, it felt risky to put my own words out there. Now, you, as a current soon-to-be secondary teacher, what are some ways within your secondary content area for students to share their writing with the whole class, the school, the community, and or the world? Because the internet is endless, are you worried that your writing and your students' writing can get easily lost in the infinite mass of words and ultimately not find an audience? We are also in an era particularly post-pandemic, where many students may not have a lot of practice experience in socializing with peers. Do you have concerns about the general viability of social learning, instruction, and activities in your class moving forward? In other words, an argument can probably be made that this generation of students is less equipped to work socially and collaboratively than generations of students in the past. How are you going to handle this challenge in your class? Wow. I think about myself as a teacher. I see a lot more ways to make writing social and meaningful. In my content area, students can share their writing through class discussion, partner talks, gallery walks, small presentations, or digital formats like class blogs or newsletters. Remember that I teach PE, so no, we're not always writing a 5-paragraph paper, but when we do write, I think that it's meaningful. I think that my students like to see what everyone had to say and see if they all agreed, or if they disagreed, or if they had a different impact. So they are definitely sharing. We have Class Dojo, we have Google Classroom, we have the Spotlight wall. So when they write something that I think should be shared with anyone walking by in the hallway, I put it on our bulletin board. It's kind of like the fridge. I do ask them before I put it up there, and most of the time it's not something that is deeply personal. It's PE. I do realize that the internet is huge and writing can get lost online, so I'm not focused on reaching everyone per se. My goal is for students to have authentic audiences. So whether that's their classmate, the school, principals, admin, those are the same thing, but people that are walking through the hallways that can read and see that my students are writing in PE, that's who it's for. That's who it's supposed to connect to. I also recognize that my students today struggle with social interaction, especially after the pandemic. Collaborating can feel uncomfortable for them. I feel like everybody in the world has anxiety at this point, and they show it, and it's something that we just got to work through, honestly. I got anxiety too. I try to reason with them and let them know that I'm on the same team as them. I took my communications class via Zoom, as I told you before, and writing a speech, recording myself like I'm recording myself now was nerve-wracking, especially because my professor was like, you can't have notes. If it looks like you're reading, you have an automatic 0. So not only did I have to memorize this, I had to be nervous and look at a camera in a garage because my sister's kids were yelling in the background. A lot going on, and I can reason and understand with them. I think everybody can benefit from starting small. So structured partner activities, build it up to group at roles, and then obviously sentence starters, sentence stems, things that make collaboration feel like a safe space and something that's small and manageable. I want my classroom to be a place where talking about writing feels normal, supportive, and actually helpful. Eventually, we're going to be kicking in on the health stuff, and them being able to articulate what they understood and what they are going to grow from will help benefit them in the long run. Being able to not only read, but perform or share their piece in front of other people. Thank you so much for your time.